Hello and welcome to the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us right now on iTunes, please go and leave a 5-star review. For example, here's a really great review from Stan the GIF Man. Speaking for everyone, the hypocrisy is beyond the mark of comprehension. Great pod. Still listening to the rest of the pod, but awesome convo so far. Dr. Stan JCG. Okay, I'm not sure what podcast he's talking about, which episode, but thank you so much for the awesome review. This episode is brought to you by Cushy Dreams. Cushy Dreams offers a full lineup of premium smokable CBD. They specialize in extraordinary CBD-rich hemp flower, aka bud, in cans or pre-roll CBD joints. I really like them because I used to smoke a lot more weed, hanging out with the comics. You're smoking weed, you're hanging out. But I didn't like that it made me feel too relaxed, and then I wouldn't be able to get anything done. And that's what I really like about being able to smoke CBD. It calms down my mind and body without sending me out to lunch. Do you know what I mean? Like I can still have a somewhat productive day. It does help me sleep sometimes. That's what I love about these products. You can enjoy all the health benefits of CBD without getting high. It's cannabis that ships to you directly. It's legal in all 50 states. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Cushy Dreams looks, feels, smells just like high quality marijuana, but it's not. It's 100% hand trimmed. They're constantly doing independent lab tests to show compliance and purity. Each batch is slow cured for 2 to 4 weeks to guarantee maximum freshness and preserve flavor and cannabinoids. And best of all, it's grown here in the USA. Cushy Dreams has a ton of different strains that are indica sativa blends like energy, hustle, relax, dream. So it's there to help you with whatever you want to do with your day. Go to cushydreams.com, KUSHY, and get some high quality CBD bud. At the checkout, use promo code CMP and you will get 20% off every order, not just your first, plus free shipping. Very exciting, guys. You know what else I'm really excited to talk to you about? Manscaped.com. Valentine's Day is coming up. It's time to get your genitals out of quarantine. Do you know what I mean? It's time to wake them up. It's time to get them looking their best so that your lady or dude or whoever you're with can have a fun Valentine's Day. They are the best in below the waist trimming with precision engineered tools for your family jewels. They just launched in the UK, so now all my listeners overseas can get them as well. It's really, really great. I bought my boyfriend the lawnmower from Manscaped. It worked really well. It made his trunk look bigger. The battery lasts up to 90 minutes. It comes with a great recharging station. It's legit waterproof with a cutting-edge ceramic blade and will reduce any awkward grooming accidents. If you're a dude, give this a try. Go to manscaped.com and use promo code CMP. You're going to get 20% off plus free shipping. Ladies, get this for your man because honestly, it's a gift for you because nobody wants to put anything in their mouth that's hairy. I'm trying to not sound so gross for our guest. I think I did an okay job. I am so excited to have him on the show today. I've been a fan for a minute now. He is the host of his own show out in Arizona on KTAR 92.3. You've seen him on Fox Business, Fox and Friends, OAN. He is crushing it as a public speaker right now. He's a former police officer from Tucson, and then he had a viral video a couple years ago. I think they showed it on PragerU as well, kind of debunking the whole idea of white privilege. I mean, the credits go on and on and on. I could talk for 10 minutes about everything this guy has done, but I'm so happy to have him here on the show today. Brandon Tatum.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I know that you're like a religious guy, so I'm not trying to. Normally my ad reads are like, "Ooh, get that junk in your mouth, shave it off." So I was trying to be like a lady for you.
Well, hey, I'm saved, but I wasn't always saved, so I know how it is.
So I'm a big fan. I was just watching one of your shows from yesterday, and you were really, I'm sure you get this all the time, but you're really an incredible speaker. Like I think you reach people and you touch people, and we just need more voices like yours. So I'm just really glad to have you here, and wondering how you're feeling today on Inauguration Day. I know I'm feeling kind of mixed feelings, feeling a little bit hopeless, I guess, feeling a little like, what reality are we in right now? just seeing, there's virtually no people out in DC. And it's a little bit heartbreaking to see, like, wow, we are swearing in somebody who did not get the most votes.
Yeah, I think for me, I have two phases of how I feel about it, or two ways of thinking about it. In a spiritual sense, for me, I'm fine. I mean, I know God is in control, and God has plans for my life that supersedes any president or anybody else of that nature. I'm disappointed for the nation for many reasons, because, I think the ignorance of people is what really shocks me, that people can't even explain why they vote for certain people. They can't even explain why, or at least have any information to realize that this election wasn't a clean election. There was a lot of suspect stuff that has happened that has never happened in history that should raise the eyebrows of many people. But unfortunately, they're sheep. Most people in America, in the world, are sheep. They just go along to get along, and that will cause the demise of a great nation like we have today.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about this a lot too, because I try not to. I'm friends with a lot of comedians. A lot of them are on the left, and I mean, I was too up until a couple years ago, and really more so last year. I just sort of woke up. You still see so many people just saying, well, there's no evidence of voter fraud. They're still singing that song. They're still singing the song of, well, Trump's a racist. He's been lying every day. And it's like it's almost like, even if you were to engage with these people and be like, can you show me proof? Show me the video where he tells people to storm the Capitol, get inside and steal Nancy Pelosi's lipstick. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no proof of Trump telling anybody to go inside the Capitol building and raise hell. Yet people they believe so deeply that these things exist. And I was listening to a lot of your shows, and I'm thinking, like, okay, there's like a whole, you can make a whole graph of like where the problems stem from. And I think it's just like, I was thinking a lot about how we can continue, how we the people can kind of continue Trump's legacy in a good and positive way. And I think, like, what's the biggest like enemy? And I think it's the media. I think the media just has such a hold on people that they've trained them so well to not think for themselves, to not look into things. It's just like what you talk about, not look into the really good policies that Trump has put in place, the really good things that Trump had done over the last 4 years never get talked about. All the money he set up for historically Black colleges to get every year, so they don't have to keep. And just people, it seems like people don't want to hear it. It's so much easier to just believe what the media is telling you. That way you don't have to look into shit. You don't have to read any books. And it's just hard, because it's like, well, how do we? And it seems like these folks don't want to disbelieve the media. They're not even curious about another reality or another story. It's a multi-step process. It's like, how do you shake people off the media? And in a nice way, being like, you're brainwashed,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to tell them straight out, like, you're brainwashed, show me your evidence. You have no evidence. Me and my dad get into a little back and forth on a text message, because I say, show me evidence of what you're saying. I'll give you $100 on Venmo right now. I'll give you $1,000 on Venmo right now if you show me what you're saying. And of course, there's no evidence. There's just the media saying things that they cannot prove. And, it's funny, I sent him videos of people actually inciting violence, telling people to assault other people, claiming that they want to assassinate the president of the United States of America. They should punch him and take him behind a building somewhere. And that's actual evidence, so it's just crazy to me. People I'm trying not to be jaded on people. Being a police officer kind of made me a little jaded with certain people, but I just think people are evil and they're dumb in general. And there is people who are rescued from the foolery either by faith in God, or, they just kind of wake up because something bad happened in their lives and they realize, hey, I can't be an idiot for the rest of my life. But I think most people are just dumb people. I mean, even conservative or liberal, they're just dumb. I mean, you tell a person what they want to hear and they will listen. And if you ever question whether or not I'm just being superfluous or not, look at how many people join cults. People have a cult where the leader of the cult want to have sex with your wife. You know, you're like, how does that make sense that the cult leader can only have sex with your wife, but you have to abstain from sexual behavior because of God said so? All of these guys are really sexually perverted, but people follow them by the tens of thousands, and they don't see anything wrong until they're drinking Kool-Aid or they are killing themselves. And that just lets you know that people in general are just dumb. And there's people like you and I who can at least think. Go out of the box, question everything. Don't be such a pawn. You know, I question religion. I question Christianity. I don't just blindly believe somebody because they have a clergy collar on and they're telling me that Jesus said this. I read. That's what makes me more solid in my faith, is that I question it and I verify what I believe. And I really wish that people would take the time to verify what they believe at least before they start to argue.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and that's the thing, is like, I think a lot of folks see a lot of other people, well, you're getting away with not having to verify your beliefs because the fact that the media is telling you is enough proof. And it's almost like the media lies, and then it kind of trickles down, and then people are kind of parroting the media. They kind of stay lost. And then there's almost like this group support, you know, it's like you're almost like you're trying. I see people, it looks like they're almost trying to impress other people online with what they're saying and what they're regurgitating, what they're liking. And it's like, if you had to be put in a room with somebody from the other side and you had to prove yourself, could you, or would you just melt down and devolve into saying Trump is racist? Anybody who voted for him is racist. And there was, for 4 years, the man was put through so much. Again, like, not a perfect guy, not a perfect president, but he did do a lot of good. But he faced more abuse than any president we've ever had. And now that he's going to be out, this hate isn't going to go away. The media is obsessed with racism. And I feel like there's certain people that are obsessed with pushing that narrative because, I feel like that ultimately keeps people down and from trying their hardest. Because if you think there's a ceiling a foot above your head, you're not going to try to jump up really high. That's a terrible metaphor, but yeah, I just feel like this belief really, keeps people down. And I think that was maybe your first viral video that you were talking all about how white privilege is kind of really not a thing because you've been able to succeed.
It's bull crap. White privilege is bull crap. You know, it's a way to divide people and to create, like you said, a false ceiling above people's heads so that the Democrats and the politicians can be the answer to all of your problems. You know, there's no such, are there white people that have privileges over black people? Yes, there's black people that have privileges over white people. So if you're going to use white privilege, then there's a thing called black privilege. I experience black privilege on a day-to-day basis. I can get on any podcast anywhere and say whatever I want to say about white people, black people, Black Lives Matter, whatever I want, and I will never get banned because of it, because I'm black. If you're white and you say that, you're a racist, terrorist, Nazi, and you should be condemned, and all of the above. You know, Don Lemon came on TV and said the biggest threat to America is the white male. And just imagine if a white person said the biggest threat to America is the black male, which is probably more true than what Don Lemon said. If you look at the statistical numbers of violent crimes in America, most of them, half of them, are perpetuated by black people who only make up 13% of the population. And we all have enough common sense to realize that not all 13% of the population are crime committers. It's probably about 3%. So 3% of our population in our country are committing half of the violent crimes. So to be honest, it would make more sense for a white person to say black people are the biggest threat in America. But if a white person say that, they will be condemned. They'll probably find a way to put them in jail and banish them forever. So it's just crazy what's going on in our country. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get any better because people have just been getting lulled to sleep by propaganda. Even the greatest amongst us are just lulled to sleep by propaganda, and they probably will never recover.
And I know this is something I forgot to mention at the very top when I was bringing you in. You're the founder of TatumReport.com and the co-founder of BLEXIT. Do you want to briefly just describe what your website is all about and what is BLEXIT?
Yeah, so Tatum Report I just wanted to have a news outlet where people can get authentic news, conservative news, and don't have to go everywhere to try to find it. They can find it all in one spot. And we also do things for police officers. We raise money. I think we raised over $200,000 for police officers who have been injured and hurt in some of these BLM activist protests and all this crazy stuff that's going on. And BLEXIT, Candace Owens and I co-founded BLEXIT, and BLEXIT is literally giving Americans of African descent another way to think about things. You know, I mean, the play on words, BLEXIT is exiting the Democrat Party, but it's not really about the Democrat Party. It's about having access to reality and facts and truth and being able to make your own decision. And I'm very confident that anybody who takes the time to hear facts will probably never support the Democrat Party again, because they're just not what's right for this country. And I know they say that about Trump, but we have actual facts and evidence to suggest that the Democrats have been the ailment of this country ever since the foundation.
And I know that Candace gets a lot of, well, I see a lot of, I mean, maybe, I don't know if I think she's a little bit more, I mean, you guys both have a ton of fans, but I just have noticed so much more hate, I think, in Candace's direction. A lot of people calling her like an Uncle Tom or like whatever, any of the other insults that can be hurled at her. Have you received a lot of insults like this? And also, to me, it makes no sense, because someone like you, someone like Candace Owens, you're trying to tell people, hey, like, you can be whatever you want. Like, there is no limit to your potential. There is no limit to your manifestation. Do not give away your power, your potential. It blows my mind that people could then fire back with, well, you're just sucking up to white people, or you're a white supremacist, or you're an Uncle Tom. It's like, you're literally telling people they can be as successful as they want, and they can't. It doesn't feel like they're able to accept it. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, this is proving my point that most people are ignorant and probably dumb in some cases, because we're not trying to hurt anybody. We're not telling you what you can't do. We're telling you what you can do. We're telling you that there's a success measure, and there's people that are trying to hold you down, and we are perfect examples of not being held down and being very successful people, Americans of African descent, and people reject that. I'll never forget, I went to Rider University. I was supposed to speak in front of 50 people, and they were all conservative. You know, it was a conservative organization, Turning Point USA. I was scheduled to speak there. I showed up, 500 people were there. So wow. 450 people were anti-Turning Point and anti-me. And the statement was that white privilege is a myth, is what I was going to speak about. And I literally, a young lady came up and she told me that her mom was, a crackhead or whatever, and she's the first person to go to college. She had a full scholarship to play to run track. And I told her, I said, you know what? This is God giving you the ability to change a generation. You should embrace that. You can be whatever you want to be. See, your mama was in a certain position, but God is giving you an opportunity. Now you can go to school and get an education, and everything will change with you. That's a blessing. They booed me. 400 some plus people booed me for telling that young lady that she can have an opportunity at success, and no matter where she has come from, there's a pathway to success for her, and there's advantages for her that most people won't get. Getting a scholarship is going to school for free, essentially. And so it was very crazy. But back to the point of the hatred that I get. Yeah, I get hatred. I mean, Candace Owens is obviously a much bigger brand than I am, so she gets what I get is probably the same, but it's multiplied because there's more people to do it. But people call me Uncle Tom, sellout, that I'm working for the white man and everything. And, it's just unfortunate, because all I'm doing is telling the truth. And if I had a page, when I see people person to person, when I'm at events face to face, these same people cannot argue with me. They agree with me in person, but online, somehow I'm just a bootlicker Uncle Tom.
It's really wild. The only thing I can compare it to is, I mean, it's less so now, but maybe a few years ago, it was more with the Me Too thing, this idea that like women have it so much worse than men. And I've seen a lot of, other girls in comedy, or just people that I've worked with over the years. Like, I've seen women like really take that and run and take the full advantage of this idea that they're less than because they happen to be women. And it's like, I know it's not exactly the same, with Black folks, but I've never really accepted it. And I'll always, I'll do interviews where people ask me, oh, isn't it hard being a female comic? Is it so hard? It's like, first of all, I don't even know what it's like to be a dude doing comedy. It's like, I'm in the skin I'm in. It's like, exactly. You have to recognize your blessings, because it's like certain things do come a bit easier to you, like when you are a woman, and everyone's got their privilege, right? Like everyone's got and it's like, can't we just call these things strengths? Why does it have to be called privilege? You know, oh, it's this bigger system that's out to get you. But I never accepted the idea that I can't have the kind of future I want or reach my goals because it's like, why put a cap on your own success? Like, why, even if it's in the back of your mind, like, is that born out of wanting to stay lazy, not wanting to work as hard, because there is power in being a victim, for sure there is. And people will come to your aid and, oh, I feel so bad. Oh, you have it so rough. And it's like, I don't know.
It's the fear of success. You know, some people are afraid to succeed because then the ball is in your court. You know, now you're responsible for all of your success and failures, and you're responsible for how hard you want to work. You know, everybody has privileges and disadvantages. You know, there's disadvantages of being black in certain situations, and there's huge advantages to being black in certain situations. Same thing with women. You know, is it harder for women? Yeah, in some cases it is. And in some cases it's way easier for women than men in many things. You know, I feel like that being a minority of anything is probably an advantage because you stand out. Because if you are incredibly funny and you're a woman, the comedy is saturated with men. You know, I mean, you gotta be a different kind of man to stand out amongst all of those men. But when a woman comes out, if you perform, if you are actually funny, if you are confident, I mean, you become an idol because it's like, oh, this woman was, you know, they will never forget you. It's just like being black. If you are a golfer or something, you know, you're a black golfer and you're competitive and people will remember you because you're different. Because you are kind of a new style. You're something new. They've never seen anything like this. So there's advantages to being a minority or to being, you know, a different person in these environments. And that goes for anybody. And I just wish that people would take the time and have confidence and say, you know what, I'm responsible for my own life. You know, I don't know what this life can hold. I can die tomorrow, or I can get a deal, sign a deal that can make me a billionaire. I mean, I don't know. Why try to predict the future when you have no idea what's going to happen? All you can do is measure what you do in the moment. And that means, are you going to work on your comedy? Are you going to work on your jokes? Are you going to really be passionate about it? Because some people want success, but they don't want to, they're not addicted to it. You know, there's things like people think that politics is my favorite subject. I don't even really, you know, politics gives me a headache. But I think that God wanted me to go down the path of politics to wake up people like I was woken up. But really, faith is my strength. You know, like being in Christian environments and stuff like that. I was obsessed with reading the Bible and learning about Jesus and stuff like that. And if you're going to be successful in anything you do, you got to be obsessed with it. And I'm not saying obsessed meaning that you are willing to do illegal stuff to make it happen, but you got to be obsessed with it, meaning that you're so passionate about it that nothing will stop you from living out your dream. And I wish more people would embrace that instead of being a victim.
Yeah. Yeah. And tracking year to year, like how much money did I make last year? How much money am I making this year? Like how many, you know, writing down, you should only be in competition with yourself. And I think, I don't know, I feel like people like you and I, like, and Candace, you get so much hate because people see you getting successful and they're like, man, but they're not taking like the typical path that someone like them should take to get this amount of success or followers or gigs or speaking engagements. And like, maybe it creates a little bit of an internal crisis with them. Like if maybe it causes them to like, well, what do I really believe? Because I've just been sort of like obeying and doing all the right things and saying all the right things, and like, where is it getting me? And it also doesn't align with my true spirit deep down. And I was listening to one of your shows, and this is something I think that's really important because I've noticed this building for a while too. And it, like, you know, you could get into a real conspiracy conversation about it, or you could keep it sort of like in reality. Is this idea of like, I just feel like the powers that be are kind of like pushing out the idea of God, and it's been happening for a really long time. And, you know, but they go, oh, you know, you can't get upset to see a transgender person in a high office. Like, this is equality. It's almost like equality, like to its own detriment. And I feel like when you even start talking about this subject, people go, oh, you're homophobic, or you're whatever ist, or whatever like title they can attach to you. which is kind of a scary thing, because I found, like, in the last year, my own faith has grown tremendously just within myself. And I'm praying more in the last year than I ever have in my whole life. So it's like, I feel like once you kind of learn about the evils of the world, the good in you has to kind of rise to the occasion, because you're like, well, I have to be a force of good, a connector. I want to reach people in a positive way, give them hope. And I'm just like, well, why? Because we all know it's like Kamala and Joe Biden were not chosen because they were doing well. They weren't chosen by the people. They were both struggling in the primaries, but somehow they were both picked to be the guy and to be the girl. And it's like, so, and the fact that people don't really think about, okay, who were they chosen? Like, who chose these people? Why were they chosen? And I mean, I guess that's kind of off topic, but I think I wanted to get your feelings on, like, why do you think there is this push for America to get away from God and faith?
Yeah, because there's a struggle of people being free versus the government owning you. And God is freedom in America and all over the world, because then you have a source that is unlimited that you can tap into to help get you through anything, even oppression, even racism. You can go to the source, you can pray to God, you can seek God, and you can ask God to give you a better perspective on how these things are happening. How can God get you to be in a better position to be successful in spite of the things you may be going through? Then therefore you don't need the government. What can the government do for you if God can do it all? So they need to eliminate God so that they can be your God. And the government will now rescue you from oppression and systemic racism. And the funny thing is that, legislation will never stop hatred in somebody's heart. It's just going to make them more evil. This is like the death penalty stopping people from murdering people. No, people get murdered every day. People kill people all the time. They kill police officers and everything. They never stop. Even if they get the death penalty, they don't care. Legislation is not going to change your heart. God can change your heart. But if God changes your heart, then they don't have a job. And they can't pander to you. They can't lie to you. They can't manipulate you. They can't divide you. And therefore, they won't have any power. They won't have any money. They can't do deals in China. They won't be enriching themselves on government, on your government taxes. So that's the real reason why they're pushing it, and I think that they're trying to push God out of our environment so they can be your God. They're trying to push fathers out of the home and subsidize these single moms so they can be your daddy. You don't need your real daddy. And then therefore all the problems that come along with fatherlessness, they can have a solution for you instead of you being a part of your own solutions. So there's a lot of things that I think that the government is doing. And I just wish people would see, Kamala Harris and them, Joe Biden is half dead, and he can't remember. He came and talked well on a teleprompter. He was incredibly unpopular. Many things that he's done has been to the detriment of our country under Barack Obama, and Kamala Harris, she slept her way to the top, and which is proven. It's not like people probably think I'm just saying it because I don't like her. No, I don't know her, but I know that Willie Brown said that he slept with her and committed adultery on his wife with her and gave her positions of power because he was sleeping with her. And then she lies about her childhood. I mean, just blatantly lying about listening to Tupac in college when Tupac hadn't even made a record when she was in college. I mean, she was the most unpopular black presidential candidate. She was the most one of the most unpopular presidential candidates, period. And now she's the vice president. I mean, these people, and I said this on my live stream last night, is that I'm okay with them beating us if it's real.
Yeah, if it's clean.
You win some, you lose some. There's Democrats out there that are way more qualified than Joe Biden. There's Democrats that are way more qualified than Kamala. And if there was other qualified Democrats that were running the table and they won, because Trump is not perfect. Trump got some stuff that they can take advantage of and manipulate, and they can get votes ahead of him because of those things. I'm gonna be honest. I think if Bernie Sanders was the president, I wouldn't like it, but I think that Bernie Sanders really had a following. He really had people who supported him. They were showing up in groves like they were doing for Trump, for Bernie. And I would have been like, okay, dang, we lost. Like, we got to figure out how to do better to win next time. Joe Biden is, they picked him, and they picked Kamala because they have a bigger agenda.
Yeah, because Bernie at least had a movement that people could really see and feel, and real followers. It's like Biden, Kamala, they don't have real followers. There's nobody who's excited about them. And it's sad to see people that get into office, like not even in a clean way, but also no one's real fans of them. They just hated Trump so much because the media has been toying with their minds for 4 years. It's like you're not even voting. You're voting against something you don't even know the truth about. And it's
right. And I think I wish that, you know, people probably, I don't know what people think of. Most people think Jesus was like, and this is a, you know, jumping topics here, but some people think Jesus was like this little pansy running around, just being nice to everybody. I mean, Jesus was hardcore, man. And I think we need to start being hardcore with people and stop worrying about people's feelings. You know, Jesus told the Pharisees that you are hypocrites, you are vipers. You know, you guys are going to hell. That's what he told the Pharisees. That you guys claim to be a certain way, but you're not. You claim to know God, but you don't know God at all. Jesus was calling these people out, hurting their feelings to the point where they killed him. And nowadays we're so scared to say anything, but like, I'm willing to tell anybody, you are ignorant. You're a hypocrite. How dare you vote for somebody and turn around and act like Trump is a bad guy when Joe Biden he spoke and gave the eulogy of a former Klan member, Robert Byrd. His mentor was Strom Thurmond, who's an open racist. Both of them oppose civil rights legislation to give black people rights. But Trump is a racist. I mean, it's just, we need to start calling them for who they are and stop trying to play nice and play in the middle. You're an idiot. You know, if you voted for these people. And now I don't have to go out my way to tell people that when I see them on the streets and, you know, yell at them. But when people come to me and they try to say things like, no, you're an idiot. Like you're probably the problem with America. And you're probably one of the dumbest people in America. And if you disagree with me now, show me proof that I'm wrong. Show me proof that Donald Trump is a racist. Give me a video and I'll give you $100. Show me that Trump incited violence in the Capitol and I'll give you $100 right now. I told a guy, show me evidence, I'll give you $1,000 on the live stream. Of course, they don't have any evidence. So, I mean, these people are crazy.
Yeah. And it's like almost like I've been thinking about this a lot, like, oh, this idea of like, because I was looking on Twitter, I'm like, there's so many unclever tweets, especially today, like, oh, we don't want to hear from people on the right that, you know, not my president. You guys got to suck it up like we did. It's like, first of all, none of you guys ever sucked it up. You were like kicking and screaming and being horrible for 4 years. And even now that he's lost, you still can't quite give it up. And it's almost like, do you want to stoop to their level of, I don't know. But we definitely have to be stronger. I mean, the GOP for sure never had Trump's back. They're kind of, there's a lot of pussies. And but meanwhile, it's like you don't see the supercut of conservatives and Republicans inciting violence, like that supercut that you're talking about, where it was, you know, Maxine and Nancy Pelosi and everyone's saying like, you know, protests can't be peaceful, make them feel uncomfortable. It's like, you can call that up so easily. Like where's the supercut of like Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro and you know, Tucker Carlson saying horrible things? It's like that doesn't exist. So it's like, do we have to match the left in terms of their tactics, their snakiness?
I think we have to be flexible, right? I mean, we could take the high ground when the high ground is necessary. And then we got to throw blows when it's time to throw blows. I mean, that's just what it is. We have been taking the high ground so much that we've lost our foundation. You know, like they impeached Trump twice. You know, while we're taking the high ground, they're doing low blows. And you know, it's like we're trying to fight a fair fight in a rigged situation. You know, it's like being in a boxing ring. You know, you got below the belt, and it's like there's no referee, and we still trying to say, hey, you can't hit me below the belt, but there's no referee. So they keep hitting us below the belt, and we won't hit them below the belt because we were trying to be morally right. And they keep hitting us, and then they win the fight. And we look back and say, you know what? Those aren't fair. And they go, well, there's not a referee. So get with the program. And that's exactly how we need to be acting. And I'm not saying go out of your character. If that's not your character to do that, don't be that person. But we can't just keep letting them get away with this stuff. We can't just keep calling in the corner because we're afraid of being called a racist. We can't let them just say whatever they want to say about us, and because we're afraid. It's like, no, screw you. You're a racist. I'm not a racist. I don't need to read the book White Fragility. I saw a girl on Instagram. I was scrolling through the thing I saw on Instagram. Very encouraging page. You know, when you look at it, if any woman look at her, they'll be like, oh, this is inspiring or whatever the case may be. She had a book. She's on a beach or something, had a book. Oh my God, it makes me so mad just thinking about it. She had a book that says white fragility, right? Whatever. I guess that's a required reading in a lot of places.
It is, yeah.
White fragility. So she writes in the comments, I'm like, what is she gonna say? She go, I'm fortunate enough that I'm not gonna be shot by the police. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I thought she was talking about because she's at the beach. And she's like, I'm not gonna be harassed by the police and all this other stuff. And it's like, she was white. And it made me offended because I'm like, you are a racist because you're trying to tell me what's going to happen to me because you're white. You're thinking. I wrote in there, I said, none of these things are going to happen to me either, just like they won't happen to you. And I'm black. What does a white person have to say to a black person that says, that's bullcrap? I'm not afraid of the police because I don't commit crimes. I'm not going to, police don't run up on me and shoot me at the beach when I'm just hanging out with my family. You know what I mean? Black people are at the beach in Florida. And you know what I mean? Black people are, you know, it's just crazy to me. And the white people, they eat it up because it makes them feel virtuous. That
why?
You know what, I'm standing up to white supremacy, to my own self. It's like, are you a racist? No, I'm not. But it was shut up then. Stop it. You ain't doing nothing but creating a reverse situation of racism.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like books like, and I haven't read it either, like White Fragility, it's like you're solidifying this idea of white privilege. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. But it's like you're not it's actually giving white people who feel this way or like who have the white savior complex, you know, they read this book or pose with the book and it's like it gets them off the hook from doing anything substantial. It's like, oh, if I post a black square, then I'm good. I don't have to actually donate money to like a black college or I don't know, treat people better in my own life. It's like it's all just for show. And it's like the media has sort of groomed Americans to be like, well, it's all just a show. Like politics is just a show. Your own life is just a show. Like no one's actually going to check you. What I thought was so funny is like, so you had this viral video about, you know, disproving white supremacy. And then I see a follow-up article from Snopes, which is total trash. Snopes is trying to like fact check you. And this article is like, well, you know, despite Brandon's article, it actually does still exist. I'm like, oh God, like just what a
It's funny. It's funny that they do that because there's a white man that wrote an article telling me that my experience as a black person is not validated because it doesn't align with what he think that black people are supposed to go through. I've never been mistreated by police because I'm black. Not that I know of. I mean, they've been treating me fair. I was breaking the law. I mean, how am I gonna complain when I'm breaking the law? You know, I've never been afraid to get shot by the police. When I was 8 years old, I got arrested for smoking marijuana in a vacant house. It was 7 of us. And we were kids. You know, I was 8. My brother was 9. My other cousin was, no, my brother was 10. My other cousin was 9. Like it was a bunch of little kids and then all the way up to a 17-year-old. So it was a range of us, but we were all young people. They blasting in there with guns pointed at us and stuff. And now being a former police officer, I know that was legitimate what they did because they didn't know who was in there and what was happening. But I didn't think they were going to shoot us. I just thought that they were telling us to do what they told them to do. I mean, told us to do. And we did. And nobody shot us. I'm not, you know, I never were. Listen, I grew up in the hood and I wasn't worried about police. Police don't just kill you for no reason and nobody snitch. I'm worried about other black people who were gang members. My mama never told me, hey, you can't walk on the street because the police will come get you. No, my mama told me you can't walk on that street with those red shoestrings in your thing because they may think you are blood and you may get killed out here.
Wow.
None of my friends have been killed by police. All the interactions that I've had that have been negative have been by other black people who were either gang related or they think I'm looking at their girlfriend or something crazy that have gone on. I see black people pulling guns on each other in the parking lot when I was in high school, selling drugs. You know I have family members in prison for selling drugs. White people weren't selling drugs in my community. It was black people selling drugs to other black people. And I will never forget the first time I saw somebody smoke crack before. You know, we know about crackheads and when you see them roaming around. And there was this car wash on Ramey and Stall Cup. If anybody live in Fort Worth, Texas, Ramey and Stall Cup, there's a car wash there, and the crackheads will wash your car. I don't have no idea how they get the machine to blow the water in there because they took over a car washing machine place, and they just make it run by themselves, and they take your money and they do it. So I don't know how they do it. But I used to go over there all the time. You give them $5, they'll do a full detail. That's probably worth $50. You give them like $5 or $10, they'll do a full detail on your car. No, wow. 20 will give you a full detail. 20 will give you a full detail. 5 is a regular wash. But I was going around back. I was going around back and I saw a brother smoking crack out of the pipe And it broke my heart. And I said, I can never go and even though I never saw him do it, you know, before, I could never go and give him my money because I know they finna do what this guy did, smoke crack. But white people wasn't selling him that crack. It was other black people. And so it just bothers me that we live in a world that's so disingenuous, that we promote stuff like white supremacy. I've never seen a person with a Klan's hoodie on. I've never seen a white supremacist, but twice in my life. And that was when I was a police officer. And that's because I go to calls of crazy people all over the city. But I've only seen 2 white supremacists in my life, and one of them was fake, and the other one was really a white supremacist who got cussed out by my partner, who happened to be a white police officer.
Wow.
So, you know, whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy too. And I've gone to now like 3 Trump rallies and a Back the Blue. I haven't seen a single white supremacist, but supposedly there's, you know, 75 million of us. And it's just icky. I'm seeing a lot of these videos from friends and colleagues on social media, like, oh, we got to keep an eye out. You know, we might think it's over because Trump's out, but, you know, there's 70 million of them. They're lurking among us. And it's like, what do you get out of keeping this divisive rhetoric going? Like, what?
It makes them feel better about themselves. You know, it's funny because, you know, I hate to keep bringing my dad up, but me and my dad have these conversations, and my dad is one of the greatest men I know. And I'm surprised that he's confused by some of this stuff. But like, you know, I think even my dad falls for some of this stuff until I bring him back to reality. Like my dad's like, yeah, you know, there's racist people out here, you know, supporting Trump. And I say, Daddy, see, my dad is he retired fire chief, and everybody on his fire department loves me, right? They love me. They love Brandon Tatum. So I say, Daddy, all them Trump supporters on your fire department that work for you, how many of them are racist? Oh, okay, you know none of them. So you tell me, what racist Trump supporters do you know? Your son is a Trump supporter. I'm not a racist. All them good, solid men that work for you and women that work for you at the fire department, how many of those are racist? Some of them are your good friends. My dad tells me stories of how when he was on the fire department, and my dad came from nothing. He came from the projects. He was poor. He started when he was 18, 19 years old on the fire department. And the black people on the fire department, some of which were hating on my dad. They wouldn't even give him a chance. But it was a white man who my dad became really good friends with and studied with and helped my dad get opportunities to make it all the way to the very top of the fire department. And it's like, Dad, you know these things. You see them. How is CNN still penetrating your mind to believe some of these things are true when there's no accurate evidence? It's just rhetoric. It's just people talking on TV. It's crazy to me. And I love my dad. He's one of the greatest men I know. But that's one thing I just disagree with him on, is just that sentiment of that there's still these racist people lurking around somewhere. Where they at? I ain't never seen them, but I know they there.
They're there somewhere.
And even if they are racist, who cares? They can't do anything about it. You in America, you can believe whatever you want to believe. It ain't nothing against the law for you to not like certain people, but you just can't act on it. And I don't know any racist people that are actually acting on things, but I do know that people are creating racist situations based on their own ideology. If a white cop kill a black man, even though it's justified, they're black and white. Their minds is it's racist.
Yeah.
But if a black man do it to a white person, that's just totally fine. Even if they do it to them because they're white, it's totally fine.
Yeah, and it's just a big distraction from the stuff that really needs our attention, which is how do you build up your own brand? How do you build up your family, your friends? How do you grow your business? How do you get to a place where, you don't need the government? They don't need to be like your daddy. It's funny, guys. I'm hearing you talk about your dad. Like I have the same stress with talking to my dad about it. Like I remember growing up, he would be all about like Ron Paul, and he'd always be talking about that's how I heard about third-party candidates, was just from my dad being like, all of politics, it's a sham. They're all garbage people. Like they're all full of shit. Like I was like, oh, okay. He's anti establishment. Now I think like, oh, that's pretty cool. But it's weird. It's like my mom passed a couple years ago and now he's got this new girlfriend. And then like before the election, he's talking about, well, Trump just isn't presidential and, you know, the things he says. And I was like, oh no, Dad, you're not voting for Biden to impress this new girlfriend, are you? Like, I didn't say that to him, but I was like putting it together. I was like, what happened to you? What happened to this cool dude that was like speaking some truths about politics growing up, you know, in the 90s? And I don't know. I was so shocked. And I was like, it's so hard for me to even have this debate with him because he still kind of treats me like a child in many ways. So it's like, it doesn't matter what evidence I bring to him. He's just going to be like, all right, let's agree to disagree. And I'm like, oh man, it's so
funny.
hard.
My dad said that same thing, quote. He said the same thing, you know, because I don't argue with my dad. You know, I'll give my side of it. I never argue with my dad. I respect my dad. But, you know, it's funny. He texts me, we'll just agree to disagree because I hit him with facts. I said, I'll give you $100 if you show me Trump inciting violence and saying, go to the Capitol and storm the Capitol. I'll give you $100 Venmo right now. That's my thing with my dad. I'm like, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'll give you $100. And then I said, well, let me show you real people inciting violence. I gave him a highlight tape of 1 minute and 40 seconds of people inciting violence. And he go, you know what? I don't want to argue about this anymore. Let's just agree to disagree. And I said, okay. But it's because I don't know what's happening to people's brains. I don't know what's happening. My dad does not support. He does not support a lot of things. Like my dad does not support gay marriage. My dad is not like, my dad is a conservative. My dad is a Christian. You know, my dad is not very like for all this new age stuff, but somehow Trump just turned his mind off. Like, I don't understand, you know, like the same people that we hear talk about Trump, they like other people who are super raunchy. You know, they like other people who are comedians.
Yeah.
Some of the nastiest, dirtiest stuff ever. And they like, oh, that's totally fine. But he's the president. Well, it's like, well, he wasn't the president when he was saying all this stuff. Like, is it so? If one of these people that you like become the president one day, they can't because they said dirty jokes. It's just, I don't get it.
You're right. There's so much hypocrisy. And if Trump had come into office and completely changed his personality, well, then people will be giving him shit like, oh, look how fake he's being now that he's president. That's not the real him. You know, he's pretending he's putting on a show. We all know he's like, this other gross dude. I mean, I like that he retained his personality. I think he really broke down whatever it is, like the fourth wall, or that's not third wall, fourth wall on politics in Washington by his Twitter alone. Like, he really opened up how things work to the American people. And now that Biden and Kamala are in office, they're kind of just like, they're just pulling back up that wall that Trump pushed down. They're like, oh, nothing to see here, folks. Going back to boring politics. Go back to nobody knowing what we're up to. Go back to nobody talking about us, knowing what we're planning.
Being fake, just coming up with stuff, just making up stuff, making up childhoods and everything, just to be politically, just to pander, putting transgenders in the positions of power just because they're transgender. It's like, man, you got to put qualified people in the places. And if there's not a lot of qualified transgenders, then encourage people who are transgender to put in for these positions and to become more qualified. Don't just pick somebody.
Just the first one. Yeah.
He picked the person who was popular. Like, no, pick a person who's popular, who's done terrible things, because this person has put people in poor positions, you know, when it comes to COVID, did not handle COVID very well. But supposed to be, you know, this is a contradiction. If you're a transgender person, I'm not mad at you. I don't care. I mean, it's America. You can transit. You can want to be a girl. You can be a frog. I don't care. It has nothing to do with me. But if you are seriously a man and you feel like you're a woman on the inside, there is something that has happened, either psychologically or something that has gotten you to that point. That's not normal. And it's not bad, but it's not normal. Stop trying to normalize an emotional feeling that has you feeling some way that's contrary to who you are. And that's something that people need to address and help individuals who are dealing with gender dysphoria.
Right.
Instead of just pushing them into it and they commit suicide because they believe in this facade that one day they're going to actually feel like a woman. A man is going to dress up. He's going to put makeup and do all the things that stereotypically what women do. And one day hope that I'm going to actually be received and I'm gonna actually feel like a woman. And when that day never comes, they commit suicide and live in a life of depression because nobody told them the truth and said, let me help you because you are obviously dealing with a gender issue psychologically. Let me give you the help that you need. And if the person don't want help, then go on. But don't lie to these people and try to make society view them a certain way. This guy that he chose that is presenting as a woman don't even look like a woman.
Not even close. I mean, yeah.
There's a phrase in transgenderism called being passable,
right?
Meaning that you actually look like what you're trying to be. This person don't look like a woman at all. And so it's disrespectful and it's cunning and it's evil for people to push in this, because what are they doing? This is not just the person over the health department or whatever. This is in sports. They have these boys, young boys, full of testosterone, putting on a wig and turning into a girl, and then they go in and dominate women in sports. What happened to women's rights? What happened to standing up for women? Listen, I got a wife, and my wife is pregnant, and I've been through this whole process of pregnancy. You know, we even took a pregnancy class. And thinking about her giving birth and stuff like that, I know that she's going to have a stressful period of time, obviously pushing and all that stuff. That stuff that's not easy. How are you going to tell me that you deserve the same respect for a woman that's going to push out a baby and create life, and you have none of the components to do that? You can't devalue women by subjugating them to a look. Just because you look like a woman don't make you a woman. There's a lot of things that women do that are unparalleled to any species on planet Earth. They should get the respect that they deserve by having that God-given ability, not just because of a look. Breasts and booty don't make you a woman. There's a lot of other stuff in women that makes them women. And it bothers me that our society is just folding to this mentality of forcing everybody to believe something that's a complete contradiction of science.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody explain it like that. Like, I really love that take. It's like you love and respect women so much that you're like, you guys are better than this. It's you can't just, it plays into this whole theme of like, it's all about the show. It's all about the surface. It's not about what's deep down, which is like, right, you can't fake that deep nurturing. You can't fake like that empathy. You can't fake all the uniquely female strengths, just like you can't fake uniquely male strengths, like, nor should you. And I've been on my own journey. Like, right after college, I was card carrying feminist, hating guys, like, thought I was doing all the right things. And it's like, it wasn't until I met my boyfriend 6 years ago that I was like, oh wow, like we're like truly supporting each other. Our strengths complement one another. Like, this is great. This is the best. It's like, of course it's, you're afraid, oh, I'm going to get broken up with or whatever. It's like, love is hard, right? But it's like, when you tap into that true like partnership, it's like, I can't imagine going back to like, yeah, I fucking hate men. Yeah. Until you need a shelf hung up, until you need somebody to fix the bed that fell apart. And
them tires are bald as an eagle and they about to blow out on you on the freeway. But here's the thing that I think about. I say, man, feminism is, the modern day feminism is killing women internally.
It's a real speed bump. Yeah.
They are just, come on, man. My wife don't have to work. My wife don't have to do anything. Why? Because I'm gonna provide and take care of her, because that's what I feel like my job is to take care of my wife. You think my wife is complaining and saying, you know what, I missed out on life. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own my own business. I'm not saying that she can't. If she wants to do that, then I'm okay with that. But some of these women are forced to believe that I don't need a man in my life. And I'm supposed to be a CEO. I'm supposed to compete with a man. And it's like, no, do what you want to do. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, that's honorable. That shouldn't be condemned. And you may need a man to make that happen. And that's not something to be ashamed of. If you don't, these women out here mad, they hate life. They go into a 9-to-5 that they don't want to be at. They get pregnant. They hate going to work. They hate that they don't have enough maternity leave. They hate they can't be there with their kids. They going through postpartum depression because they're trying to live up to this fake expectation. Women supposed to be taken care of, in my opinion, no matter what level that's at. whether it's psychologically or whatever. I am to protect my wife and give my wife the best opportunities that she can have. If she wants to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to protect my wife and help her get to that point. We need to work together to get to that point. And men need women. I wouldn't be nowhere near where I'm at without my wife. She is nurturing, and she grounds me where I'm not just this crazy, hyped up dude all day. She brings some sanity to my life. She is giving birth to my child. Like I can't have kids by myself. She's giving me a lineage. She's giving me I say a lineage, a legacy. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. A legacy. Why? There's hate men groups that hate women, and they doing all that. But it's like both of those sides are foolish. I love my wife. We need women to help our legacy and to help us grow as a team. There's nobody above. We're like this. We just have a position. And my position. Yeah. It's funny because everybody want equality till it's not time for equality, right? If me and my wife were like, we're equal, and then the man come up and slap my wife, she's gonna be looking at me like, are you gonna fight him or you not? Because I can't defend myself. That dude is bigger than me. Oh, now you don't want equality. On the police department, I'm gonna stop because I talk a lot.
No, it's good.
On the police department, they scream equality. We want equality. Women should be the same as men police officers. And we go, okay, when you go down to the process of the physical fitness process, they're not the same. Men have to do, I think, at least 50 push-ups or something like that. Women have to do like 12.
What? I could do 12.
It's like in the SWAT team. Now, the SWAT team don't care about your feelings. So you got to do everything the men have to do. I think that's fair, because if a woman is on the SWAT team, which we had a woman on the SWAT team when I was on the SWAT team, she was qualified. She could do everything else the men could do. She wasn't a social justice pick just because they didn't lower the standards and let her in. She had to do everything the men had to do. And it was tough. And it was only one woman that has made it through it, and she made it through it, and she deserved every minute of it. But on the police department, women don't have to be able to fight like men. Women don't fight men in our training. They fight other women. It's like, no, because when you get on the streets and a criminal want to get away, he going to beat you down. And if you're not equipped to do that, then there's a big problem there. So men and women,
he won't be like, oh, you're a woman. He won't be like, whoa, well, I'm not going to hit you because you're a woman. That goes out the window. And I think it's this theme of like people not dealing with like their stresses or their trauma in their life. Because you look at feminists, and then you look at like incels, right? If they're each other's equal and opposite, like guys who hate women, women who hate guys. If you dig deep enough, there was probably a traumatic situation or a dramatic breakup or something, a bad relationship with their mom or dad. Like that doesn't come out of thin air. Like that's trauma that causes somebody to like hate a whole group of people. Yeah. Just like with like transgender people, like it's okay if you want to do that, of course, right? That goes without saying. But like I talked to this guy, Buck Angel, who is a female to male, to transition from female to male, and openly admits, he's on a ton of podcasts, will openly admit like, yeah, I have gender dysphoria. It is a type of mental illness. And that since that is so not woke and not the accepted dialogue, like he gets so much shit. People are like, you don't belong in the LGBT community because you're not singing the song. But he's like, no, look, I went on these hormones. He didn't get a penis, but it's like I did what I had to do so that I could be well in my own body, like not suicidal every day. And that's just the thing. It's like, and then you see, like I saw this article, it was all about like, oh, boys can be princesses too. And it's like, okay, sure, that's fine. But that's probably one little boy out of thousands that maybe has an inclination, and don't like, you're making that seem so normal. It's like, it's so backwards. It's like the boy dressing up as a princess is normal. Yet if you voted for Trump, you're in a disgusting, dangerous cult. Like there's 75 million people that are the dangerous minority versus, oh, this one boy that dresses up like a princess and everyone's got to try it. It's almost like, it would be great to go back to a society where it's like, yeah, maybe you have that terrible breakup, or maybe you have that abusive parent, or maybe you have something which, kind of fucks you up and questions your gender. It's like, okay, we need to work on getting through these traumas instead of it steering the course of your life, instead of causing you to take a new path that's like socially acceptable. It's like, why don't we just try to work on our own shit? And I know I'm way oversimplifying this, and it's like, I'm a person that's been through trauma. Like my dad would like beat the crap out of me. So it's like, I'm not speaking from a place of like having the easiest life. Like, but I know I probably don't understand everything there is to know about trauma, but it's like, it seems like we would be healthier as a people from like growing from our obstacles instead of like, oh, I gotta turn a hard right here or a hard left.
Yeah, I think, you know, and that's funny because I wish that we would spend like Susan G. Komen, and which is probably a big scam, because they only use like 1 or 2% of all of that revenue to actually go to the cause. I learned that in my master's degree program. But if we would spend money and create things to help people, like why are we just letting people to their devices? Why don't we say, let's create something? Let's do research. Let's research the brain. Let's figure out how we can get people to realign themselves if they want it. If you don't want it, then don't get it. Go switch agendas and stuff. That's fine. 2 things. If you don't want to change, don't change. Do you? And then the second thing is, if you don't want to change, don't expect people to support that. They may not like that. They may not support it. Get over it. Some people may not like me because I'm black. I don't care. I can't change the fact that I'm black. And if you don't like it, that's up to you. There's a lot of people that accept me, and I'm gonna stay in that lane. But people need to start being stronger, you know, and we need to start really helping people instead of giving them an outlet to making excuses for them because we don't want to help them. You know, I'm telling you this, and this is incredibly unpopular, but this is my views, not yours. You know, I just think that we should do more to help people with gender dysphoria and people who are struggling with homosexuality or whatever. We should do more to help them and just reach down and figure out, okay, what happened that got you to this place? Is it something that you can work through, or is it something that you're going to inevitably live like? All of my friends who are gay have had something traumatic that happened to them. They've been raped. They've been molested. All of them. I don't know any person that's gay that I know that hasn't been raped or whatever. One person I knew that was transgender worked for the police department. That person was raped in the military and became transgender. Now, I don't know how did that start, but where the person was raped, was raped in the military, was married, got a divorce, was gay, and then became transgender. Like, those things come
That's
from
a lot. Yeah, that's a lot to happen.
Let's help them and not try to push them into the unknown. And because people that are pedophilia, that struggle with pedophilia, and I'm not trying to compare the two because people get in their feelings and say, look, he's comparing the two. I'm not comparing the two, but what I'm saying is that maybe these people were born and feel like they have this feeling to like little kids and stuff that they can't control, just like people can't control that they feel like they're a woman on the inside, or maybe they attracted to the same race. I don't need to make them all in the same bunch to say that these people are struggling with something, these people are struggling with something, and these people are struggling with something. And we need all these people to get help where it's needed, because these people are out here raping little kids, and if somebody would listen to them and probably sit them down and offer them some help, maybe they wouldn't be so sexualized or perverted. But we don't, in our society, we don't want to do that. We just make excuses and we let people just go off on the deep end. And when they die or when they live a life of pain and struggling, we blame it on the white man or blame it on society for not accepting them. It's like, no, man, give these people some help.
Give them the tools so they can accept themselves.
Right. I got things that I struggle with growing up, you know, but homosexuality may not be my thing, but there's other things. Anger, frustration, lack of wanting to show my emotions. I hate crying. I hate watching love video, movies. Me and my wife, she be want to watch these little love stories. It makes me feel so uncomfortable because of things that I've been experiencing too in the past. But don't say, oh, they shouldn't make movies like that anymore because I don't like the way it feels. These movies are discriminated against the way I feel. No, it's like, and you need to work through your problems. And people should be willing to help you and listen to you and help you work through and make yourself the best version of yourself.
Right. Yeah. I'm thinking too, back to like pedophiles. A lot of people are worried like, oh, Hollywood and the elites or whatever, they're trying to normalize pedophilia. And I'm thinking like, man, like, would it be so insane if we were like, well, now pedophiles get their own bathroom because that's how we're solving it. And we're just going to put pedophiles in high offices.
It will be. I make a prediction on this podcast. It will be. I'm telling you right now, because they've allowed themselves to be politically correct instead of correcting people with science and evidence. People are out here saying I was born gay. Well, there's no evidence of that. There's no scientific proof. You may feel that way, but there's no scientific proof. So stick with, if people want to believe in the science, stick with the science that says there's no scientific proof, and then work from there. Because what happens is pedophilia, people in pedophilia use the same argument. I was born this way. And if you use it and they use that, then now you're discriminated against people who were born this way. And they got man boy love, and they got all these activist groups for pedophilia. And it's just going further and further and further. And if you look at legislation in California and other places, they are doing more for the suspects and the criminals than they're doing for the victims. They are lightening the sentences for people who are in pedophilia and having sex with minors. They're lightening their sentences and getting them rehabilitation, but they're not doing anything for the people who are victimized. It is going to go down a path where you're going to have activist groups that attach themselves to LGBTQ, QQ1+, and
P,
PPMP. They got all kind of stuff. I saw the acronym; it was this long. It was like Q+. It's got a plus on there, and eventually they're gonna allow somebody on the spectrum of pedophilia to attach to the very end of it, because they used to be LGBT. Now it's LGBTQ and all this. And
it was it was LGB first. It was and then there was the T, and then like there's still like, I know, I have friends who are like gay, then maybe they have an issue, like maybe the T's shouldn't be with us. I think like Dave Chappelle has a whole long bit about this.
And maybe the B shouldn't be with them, because to be honest, gay and lesbian seem to be reasonable people. Have this idea that they are attracted to the same race. If you're bisexual, you're just horny.
You're just fun at a party. Yeah.
If you can do both, then you know what I'm saying? You ain't really, you're
just a people pleaser, really.
You want to, you're actually gay. You just want to do both. That's just how that actually works. And I'm not trying to discriminate against anybody's idea, but these are my ideas, and people have access to their own ideas. But I just think they're going to attach something that's related to pedophilia at the very end. They may call it something different. They may be like alternative belief, or you love who you love who you want to love. And it may be 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds, or 16-year-olds and above, and 16 turning to 15, 15 turning to 14, 13 turns into, and then it turns into puberty. And then before you know it, they're a protected class.
Because love is love, right?
Love is love. You love who you love. And see, here's the thing. They say that, and we need to check people on that, because they go, you love who you love. Okay, you love who you love. Well, what if you want to love a kid? Do you really love who you love? No, you don't, because that's unacceptable for you to love a minor, and you're a grown up. And so you don't love who you love. It has to be reasonable. You can't just, you can't be molesting kids and taking advantage of people. And I'll tell you this, and I know that you probably only got a few times, but they groom people to be gay. And go to a female basketball team. Women, people always they laugh at this, and any athlete knows that I'm telling the truth. Female basketball teams, they turn them out, like they turn out girls. They go into the basketball team. A lot of the girls are straight. They end up being gay.
Really?
If they in it long enough, and they get turned out, because what happens is you have these masculine women who play basketball who are probably gay, and then you mix them in with straight women, but then they're so close as teammates and all of this stuff. And what happens is they try them, and they do a little something, and they push them into it. So they go get drunk on the weekends, and they may touch them, or they may hug them, and how women are, they hug and love on each other.
Yeah,
and they hug and love on them, and then when they break up with their boyfriend, they hug and love on them. And they go further, and they go further, and they go further, and they normalize the interaction of sexuality between women, and they turn these girls out in college. Everybody know it's true. Anybody call in and email your show, tell me I'm wrong if you play college football or you play college sports and that's not a true thing. I've seen it happen. Women come in straight and they turn gay, and you're like, dang, you came in, your parents don't even recognize you anymore. Now you've completely changed. Because these people are being groomed and manipulated, but nobody's going to talk about that, because everybody.
I've never heard that anywhere. Yeah,
go look it up. Look it up. They call it being turned out. If you look on the Urban Dictionary, they may have the. I want to they have it on there. It's called being turned out. It's kind of like a black thing, because that's the term that we used to use when people used to get turned out on the basketball team. The girls would get turned out. And it's a thing, and dudes get turned out too. You know what I'm saying? There's some grooming of dudes too. And it's funny. I had a guy in high school that I went with. He was a gangster. thug. That dude messaged me a couple years ago and like tried to get me to want to hook up with him. Like it was, he messaged me and he was like, "Hey, B Tatum, what's up, man?" I didn't really remember him. I saw his face, so I remember him that way, but I never really talked to him. He's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He started out just saying, "Hey, what's up? What's up, B? Hey, how you doing? Hey, man, what's going on in your life?" We're just catching up. And then they go to the next level. He messaged me and said, "Hey, man, I was going to tell you something, but never mind." And so I don't really know the guy, but I'm a nice guy. I'm like, what's up, man? What's on your mind, bro? Talk to me. He go, "I just wanted to say I thought you were hot or something." And I'm like, and here's the thing. Here's the problem. I said I didn't want to get mad at him because I don't know what vibes I'm giving off to make him think that. But I said, "Hey, man, I respect you. I respect where you're coming from. I'm not interested in doing nothing like that. I don't grow like that. But I'm cool with you. Let's just be cool, but don't come at me like that. We can be cool." I had to block him. He never stopped.
Whoa.
1 o'clock in the morning. "What's up, B Tatum? I'm just checking on you." I'm like, "No, man, you trying to like groom people." And young men may get caught up in it. I'm a grown man. But like let's talk about that. Let's talk about people who are in the LGBTQ that are grooming people to try to make them do things. I know of a girl that's gay. Well, I don't know what she is, to be honest, because when we were growing up, we dated and she was straight, and then she was gay, and then she married a woman, and then she was straight again. So I don't know what she's actually doing, but she would tell me how she would intentionally try to turn out straight women. She'll meet him at the club and she'll like kiss him and stuff. And she said a lot of the people that she try to hook up with are like straight women that she can convert, or like they can have them do a fling. But nobody want to talk about that, because if you're a part of the LGBTQ, you're a perfect saint and all you're trying to do is live your life and be happy. They don't want to talk about people trying to turn other people out and do all this stuff. But anyway, I'm probably throwing way too much.
No, that's actually really interesting. And I
don't want to get you banned.
No, it's totally fine. It's like I've had so many gay friends I've never heard, but who knows? It's like, it's anything is possible, right? There's always going to be a group of people, just like there's probably a group of straight people that want to turn someone who's gay back to being straight again. I mean, like anything is possible.
Or turn out women, they want to, men be at the club trying to sleep with women who are broken, and maybe they, some women want to do it. Obviously there's some freaky people in our population that sleep with people one night and nobody cares. They don't even feel bad about it. But there's predators, men who prey on women who are, have daddy issues, and they lie to them and tell them, "I love you and everything is going to be okay and I'm going to take care of you." And they just want to sleep with them, and then they treat them bad. There's people who prey on other people, and it's not limited to straight folks, but nobody's ever going to talk about it, because if you're a part of the protected class, you can do no evil. You have no negative to add to America. You have no sexual perversion to add to America. You are just trying to live your life. And I wish people would just keep it real for 30 minutes about it.
Yeah. And if pedophiles become a protected class, it's like, well, they're kind of off the hook. It's like it's going to be like you're walking on eggshells, just like I think a lot of people feel with LGBT folks. It's like, well, you can't say anything because they're LGBT,
Yeah, I tell them the truth. I don't care. I mean, I don't go out my way to say it. You know what I'm saying? If somebody asks me my opinion about it, I'm gonna give a strong opinion about it, because I believe what the Bible say. And don't blame me, blame God. Don't believe in God then if you don't agree with the word. But I don't go out my way to mistreat people, even transgender people. Like if you trying to be a girl and I can see you trying. Me and my wife was at the thrift store. There was a dude. He was dressed up. You could tell he dude got big old head, big old hands. You're not proportional.
Big old head.
You're not. Big jaw like mine. Look like me, but with a skinny body and big old hands. And you're like, but I know that the person is trying to be a girl, and I don't care. Like, it's America. Like, so I just call a person by their name and I call them a girl. So I'm not trying to hurt anybody. But what do I tell my child? Yeah, I got to tell my son that that's a man. He got some stuff going on. He feel like a girl, so he dressed like a girl, but that's actually a man. That's not a girl, and so we got to be fair about it.
Yeah. There's a difference between, like, of course we're here. If you're truly gay, trans, whatever, like, of course, like, I feel like you and I would both accept that person. There's a difference between like, you're genuinely this way versus like maybe acknowledging that there is a push in our culture to become in one of these groups, instead of dealing with a trauma. Like, because you're only, there's some large percentage of people who like transition, and it ends up like that's not the solution. They transition back, they become suicidal. It's like there's so many instances of people who transition and it ends up, well, it doesn't work. They're still really deep down dealing with some shit. So it's like, that's what I get worried about. I'm like, okay, we're pushing people to transition or identify as a different group rather than just getting the help they need, dealing to recover with trauma. Because if that's going to make them healthy and live better, happier lives in the long run, we should be doing that instead of like making another group for them or giving them a letter to add on top of LGBT. I don't know.
And people who cross dress too. I mean, what about those people? You know, the men that don't want to really be a woman, but they cross dress. How do you don't know what to think about people. You like, I'm trying to, you don't want me to call you a woman? Because you just dress like this on the weekend? How am I supposed to know if you really want to do something and you expect me to know what you're doing here? We could just keep to the baseline. Your man is a man, a woman is a woman, and everybody else is attempting to do what they want to do. You're not a man. I'm not a cis man. I'm a man. And you're not a woman. You are a transgender person. Like you're a transgender man or whatever. You can't just say you're a woman because people deserve the respect to know. Like, you know, some women, some of these trans people are passable, where they look just like what they're trying to look like. And you see them out at a bar, you may want to talk to them and, hey, you know, how you doing? We're going to, you know, we can date. Yeah. And you may not, but you don't even know that that's a man. And, you know, that can really, people get killed over stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. You know? Then you get home, you start hooking up and someone reacts poorly.
Like, oh my God.
It's,
you didn't put me in a position where I'm, you know, hooking up with a man. You know, you could have told me. I would have said, nah, I'm cool. You know, there's another guy over there that's into that. So, but I think, you know, that's why you can't blend. That's why you can't blend this stuff. You got to be straight up and say, okay, these are people who want to be a man or want to be a woman. They're not women, because they're going to get that prostate checked with a dress on. You know what I'm saying? So it's no reason to lie and just, I think there'd be, out of all the transgender people, if we would actually actively try to help them and do research and try to find out, you know, what causes this and how can we remedy this for people who really want it, especially in young kids before they can figure out what's going on in their life. I think there probably would be about 60 or 70% will probably not be trans if we would give them the assistance and help they need, especially at a young age, because ain't no way in the world 7-year-old. I have a 10-year-old right now. He, you know, when he was 5, 7, he don't know what's going on.
You're a kid. You're not you should not be getting any kind of hormones, anything pumped into you. You should not be on anything. You're still figuring so much out until you're really in your 20s. You're still figuring stuff out.
26 years old is when the frontal lobe, I think 25 or 26 is when the frontal lobe fully forms in an adult male. So, you know, we get in this. You see, women, y'all, a lot smarter than us. See, that's another gift y'all have. We're immature for a very long time. 26 years old is when they say that it's fully developed. So, you know, anytime before that, you know, you can have some compassion. And I think that, you know, this may go down another conversation that we probably can have another time. But that's when the prison system comes into play. You know, when you convict a 16-year-old as an adult, you know, it's like that probably shouldn't be the case because you're not developed yet psychologically. There should be some remedies for you. And, you know, so maybe some rehabilitation for people who are 16 years old getting charged as an adult. Even if they kill somebody, it's like you're still 16. You know what I'm saying? Like
you're a kid. Yeah.
Maybe you'll spend a lot of your adult life in prison, but at least be able to be reconciled. Yeah.
It's like this theme of like, you know, the surface is more important than addressing the root problem. It's like I feel like it's been the theme of this whole podcast, and it's like from politics to culture. It's like it's like, how do you know you're tricked by the media? How do you know that you really have some trauma that you need to deal with instead of just, you know, joining a different group or whatever? It's like this is not the way to address like the real problems we have like in our society.
That's where God comes in. See, if you're a believer in Christ or God or whatever, whichever faith, because most of these faiths are very similar when it comes to you know, praying and asking God for forgiveness and renewing who you are as a person. If you believe in God and you struggle with sexuality issues, God can rescue you from that sexual issue. It doesn't have to be gay. I mean, you can be a promiscuous adult where you want to have sex with a bunch of people and you're straight, and that's a problem. And, you know, especially if you or, you know, you can get STDs, you can have children out of wedlock and children that you don't want, people having abortions because of this stuff. Like, it's a lot of problems. You get heartbroken being so promiscuous, you know, but maybe somebody wants to change that and say, you know, I don't want to have sex to marriage, but it ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? Even me, you know, when I got saved, I had sex even after I was already saved and in the church. I had sex and ended up having a child. So it's not easy, but God can work you through that if you dedicate yourself. The government don't want God to do that for you.
They want to
do that for you. They want to be, oh no, we'll just put you in a category and protect you from the world in your safe space, so that you can do whatever you want to do and everybody else have to accept it. And oh no, nobody better never criticize you, even if they have merit, because you're a protected class. Instead of saying, let God do the supernatural and help you work through these things. God has helped me work through so many things in my life, and sex and all this stuff is not anything different, you know. Especially married people, you know, even in people in relationships like yours, like you're in a relationship with somebody, and, you know, people get to the point where maybe they want to venture out and do stuff that they shouldn't be doing and not uphold the commitment to somebody. But that's when you pray about it and say, you know what, God, I don't want to do that. I want to be faithful. Let's build together. Maybe we should talk more. Maybe we should cuddle more. You know, maybe we should do things proactively so we can be faithful to one another. And you know, maybe marriage is the end result for us. But instead of saying, no, you're free. You're a free spirit. It's only a relationship.
Right. Because if you cheat, you still come back to that same problem. It's like it's just a distraction. So
you don't cheat, you be faithful, and it's a personal responsibility, it's commitment. Like I told my wife, I said, we got married, I'm gonna be with you till I die. I don't care if I don't like you no more. I'm gonna stay committed to you because I made the commitment.
So romantic.
And we'll work through it. And if we can't work through it, we just sleep on separate couches. But I made a commitment that I was going to stay with you, good and bad and ugly, to death do you part. I will support you for the rest of my life, and then I'll set it up to where you'll be supported after I die. But I'm gonna support you. I'm gonna stand by you. I'm gonna be with, you know, even if you get on my nerves. I made a commitment to do that, and upholding the commitment is more about me than it is about anything else. And she made the commitment, I made the commitment, and it settles it. And if people would be more willing to do that instead of trying to be free spirited. And you know what? You're young. Try it all. It's like, no, don't try it all.
Yeah, you're young until you're not, and you're like, oh, I have no partner. I have no one supporting me in my goals in my life. Yeah.
Or you messed up on the inside. You're young. Have fun while you're young. Have sex with as many people as you can. I think some of these people, they believe that, like, it's okay to have sex with people, even if you're not in a relationship, even if you're just dating, even if there's no commitment. Have fun, do whatever you want. And then you get messed up. And then you meet the person you love and you messed up because you may be caught up on a sexual experience that you had before, and this don't match up. And now you're deviated, like, you know, sex is not good because I was with this guy and it was all this. And now you got to battle through that. When if you would have held yourself to the end, or at least done as well as you can, only in committed situations, you know, you may fare better. That's why people have divorce, because I think people are just too sexualized, like either pornography, or they've had so many partners over their lifespan that they seek that. Even in a marriage, they want something new. They want another sexual experience. And it's like, but we don't want to talk about that, because it's free. Everybody want to be free until you hurt, until you single, until you can't have, you know, until you don't have children and you're 50 years old and you're trying to, you know, you're finally in a relationship and you're like, where did my legacy go? You know, I was too busy doing this.
I was definitely one of the people you were talking about, like very much a slut my whole 20s, and like beginning before I met my boyfriend. And it's like, it didn't make me happy. It was truly like a drug. I was like, I got to get the next one. Like, when, you know, what app, it's like, I'm scheduling all these dudes in. It's like, and guess what? I wasn't working on my career, my happiness, my life. Like, I wasn't building anything. So it's not even like, oh, you deserve something fun. You deserve good sex. It's like, you deserve to reach into yourself and work with this person and get the two of you to a place as fun as it can be, because you're going to be a better person for it. Sex
should be a bonus, you know, and I know we probably going down. Somebody need to hear this, but sex need to be a bonus, because, you know, like think about me, we're married, me and my wife married, she's pregnant, she's to a point in time where the doctor say, y'all can't have sex right now. And so it's like, if that's all we got,
yeah,
that's gonna be a tough life. You know, it's gonna be some problems. And you know, and then, you know, as a man, you know, when you marry and your wife have a baby, you know, there's gonna be some time after the baby is born that you ain't gonna be able to do nothing. And so you got to be okay with that. And here's the thing that I learned a long time ago is that if you cannot be honed up on sex, you got to love the person, because, you know, and young people will find out if you love a person, then it makes that better. If you know, it's not just a little fling. If you love somebody, there's a country song that's out, and I think I don't forget the guy's name, but it says there's a difference between sleeping with somebody and then sleeping with somebody you love. Like there's a difference. Like you have a commitment in that relationship. You guys have a vested interest in one another. You have plans, you have goals, you have safety, you have security. You can be yourself. You don't have to worry about giving away everything to somebody just for them to leave you. And now you like, dang, I did a lot of stuff with that person. That person got pictures of me, and now I got to start over here. It's like when you with somebody you love and you committed to, it's gonna be a better experience than these little flings with somebody that treat you wrong. And I don't want to hear nobody ever say that, oh, I'm just having fun, I'm just doing it, and I don't ever think about it. And, you know, people, they get in their feelings. You know, somebody do it to you right, and then you want, oh, can I call you up? And the person like, oh, I don't know you. Oh, dang, that's messed up. You know, I thought it was mutual. I thought, then your feelings hurt. You know what I'm saying? So just, but we don't teach this no more. And people, you know, we don't teach standards.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of standards?
Oh, move on. It's like, it's in our music, it's in our culture. It's like, be free, fuck everybody. It's like, well, I did that and it didn't make me happy. So
it don't make nobody happy. Don't let nobody lie to you. The people that even do pornography, you would think pornography, you can do whatever you want to do all the time. You can do all your little fantasies. That stuff is fake. It's fake. It's made up. It's scripted. And I guarantee you those people over time, they just, you know, sex is a sacred thing. Like when you burn that out, you have nowhere else to go. You can't get any freakier without doing something illegal, probably, you know? So it's like, people are not happy. It's not going to make you happy, but you know, sometimes people got to experience it. You know, I experienced it when I was younger, and other people have to experience it. And they find out, they're like, you know what, it's not true love. I don't want to do that with just random people. You know, I thought it was cool that night, but I wake up the next morning and I'm like, you know what? I could have went without doing that. Yeah. You know, I really gave my integrity away to that person, and they're not a good person. Or you have a child like I did. I had a child in college out of wedlock, you know, and whew, that's a whole nother podcast. But it's like, that wasn't worth it.
My boyfriend had a like, his kid is with his ex, so it's like it's a whole nother challenge, you know.
Oh, it's and in many cases it's a bad challenge. It's terrible. It's, you know, some people can get along, but I'm under the firm belief if you can get along, then you should be together. You know what I'm saying? Right. If your ex and your ex, and not you because y'all perfect. I'm talking about somebody else. If your ex, and I mean, if your boyfriend or husband or something and ex get along very well and they have children together, that may be something you may want to keep your eye on. Because if you got a kid with somebody and you get along with them and everything is great and you're so co-parenting, then why y'all not together? Yeah. So
that would make me nuts. I would be so suspect. I'd be like,
because it will be suspect. Trust me. It will be suspect. Not saying that it's the case with everybody. It'd be suspect. Yeah. Most people don't get along. That's why they're not together. And they also don't get along with kids. They may be cordial, but they do not get along. You know, me and my son's mom, she way over here and I'm way over here. And I can't, if I think about it, I get a pit in my stomach. And so, you know, I can't even talk to my son right now because I'm conservative. I can't talk to him. I can't talk to him on the phone. I can't talk to my own child because he disagree with me and what my stances are. And I'm just a bad guy now. Wow. So, you know, but it's okay because God will take care of it. And, you know, thank God I'm a great father. And I've been in my son's life his whole life, not 1 minute. But, you know, so people don't get along, and it's like, how could that have been avoided? Don't have sex with people you're not married to, you know,
or people you don't like. Yeah.
Or people, you know, I liked her at the time, but we weren't married. We had no commitment. We didn't go through anything. We don't know each other well enough we weren't committed. And so it's easy to walk away. And then when you walk away from somebody, you get jealous of them and you get mad at them because they're married or whatever. And so, you know, you have these things. I wish that I could get with young people and stop them from getting themselves in these positions and say, you know what, you know, you got young women, make them commit first. Don't just milk the cow. You got to own the cow. You can't.
You're so much more valuable than you realize, and you have so much more power than you realize. Like, that's what
women got the power. Women have the power. Men are just these horny little dogs running around. Women have the power. You can dictate what man you want and when, you know, because if a man is good, he'll wait for you. He like you and y'all got something building. You can say, no, you know, I don't have sex until I'm ready. A man will like you and have sex with you the first day or a month later. Men don't have no filter. Women can control that environment, and women have more control over them getting hurt over that. And I wish young women would realize that and say, yeah, look, don't give the goods away. They appreciate you when you restrain it. No matter what a man say, they will appreciate it if you restrain it, because they may think they like you a lot, and if you do it on the first date, it's something in men. They can't even control it. They feel differently about you. Like they may be like, you know what? Dang, I don't really like her that much. You know, like, or you know, it was a bad experience or something, or maybe it's like, dang, I kind of looked at her like she was a certain person, and now she's not, and now I'm reliving old brokenness that I've had with another woman I slept with or something.
It's like getting paid on the first day of work. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's like, it feels so much better. Like 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, my first paycheck. Oh, this is great. You know,
I got to work to earn it.
Yeah. I don't know.
They fired me from here to there, so I better be on my best behavior, you know. But I just wish that young people would value that, you know, young women especially, because what young women can control men to a certain degree, and not in a bad way, but you can hold them accountable and be like, you know what, you need to commit to me before I give you treasures, you know, like you need to be more committed. I need to be able to trust you before I do that. And if women don't do that, then they find themselves, you know, feeling like they're going through these men that ain't about nothing. It's because they never were about nothing. You just didn't wait long enough to figure it out. And men too, you know, be an honorable man. You know, want to secure the vulnerability of women. Like view women like you are their brother. I mean, not in a you know, you get what I'm saying. Like, how would you want a dude to treat your sister or your mama? Treat them with respect, even if they want to go there. Tell them, no, let's wait. Let's build something and see if we like each other first. And then we can, you know, then we can get to that point. But I respect you enough as a woman that I'm not going to take that from you if I can't offer you anything. And that's what, like with my wife, like we were dating and stuff. And before we ever did anything, I said, you know what, of course I wanted to. She was very attractive. I'm like, I'll do it. But but in my mind, I said, you know what? I won't even give an inkling of that unless I'm willing to commit to her. I respected her that much. I said, we ain't doing nothing unless I'm willing to commit. Not that I like you, not that we date. It's that I'm willing to commit to you. Only you is when I will ever even consider it. And obviously we got married. So young men got to step their game up too, and honor women in a way of saying, I'm gonna respect you. And if I want something from you, I'm gonna commit to you, and I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna be that solid figure in your life.
Yeah. And to women, I'd be like, you got to snap out of this idea that you're only worth as much as people find you sexy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's spend less time on like exactly the show, like the pictures you're putting out there or the outfits, just like, I don't know. I mean, yes, be healthy, but like, if it's obsessing and like taking hold of like a lot of hours of your day, then that's unhealthy. And like, just work on building yourself more instead of like worrying so much what people think of you and being so hot, you know?
Yeah. The internal is more valuable than the external for longevity purposes. External is good for one night stands and people liking you and blowing through your life, you know, like the breeze. But for you to be a sustainable person, that's marriage material. And when I say marriage material, I mean commitment material. Because some people may not even want to get married, but you're a person that people can commit to. It's more about what's on the inside. Because I've met a lot of beautiful women that are broken and destroyed on the inside, and they become ugly over time. And there's women that may not be the most flashy or whatever, but they're such good people on the inside.
They're ride or die. Yeah, they'll do it.
That looks will never be I mean, looks is not even a factor. I mean, people become more beautiful based on but when you're young, you don't see that. I'm a conspiracy theorist to young people. Like, oh, look at, he's just talking. But when you're a great person on the inside, you not only add value to a relationship, you add value to other people's lives. You become a valuable human being. That's more than just a bedroom stuff. You know, you are somebody that people want you to work with them, or they will work for you. People will give you opportunities because looks only get you, maybe to dancing, or maybe you'll be on a Coca-Cola commercial or something like that. If all you got is looks, you have no brains, no integrity. You don't even know yourself. You're just broken.
Looks get you in the door, but they're not going to keep you there. It's
they get you in the door and out the back door. They ain't got no home.
Looking for the back door. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. This is great. I feel like I could talk to you like easily another 2 hours, and maybe we should. We'll have to get together again in a month or so. Where can people find you, follow you, support you? TheOfficerTatum.com is my website. Everything that you want to know about me is on that website. That's the way you can support me. You can donate there if you want to donate. I don't really like people just donating to me. I have a store, the Officer Tatum store, which is also found on my website. And so people, you can buy stuff that you like. If it's some merch that you love, that's a good way to support me and get something in return. So TheOfficerTatum.com, you can find everything you want to know about B. Tatum. Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you for having me. Great conversation.
Anytime. Bye.